Hey folks, 10-minute Tuesday time. Today's subject is getting what you want. It's an exciting subject. It's a subject that has always excited me. And I think if you're honest, it probably has always excited you too. I think that is each of our experience of being a child growing up in the world. It's around this central idea of, can you get what you want? I'm happy when I get what I want. I'm sad when I don't get what I want. That kid's got what he wants. Is that because his mum loves him more than my mum loves me? Is that because he's better than me? How did he get what he wants if I can't have what I want? How's that fair? Oh, it turns out it's not fair. Quickly as a child, you discover that the world is not fair. That's not how it works. You don't get something simply because you deserve. You don't get something simply because you ask. You don't get something simply because you want. There's a few different rules that determine who gets what they want and who doesn't. So I've always been fascinated by the kind of, what are the rules? How's this game played? If it's clear that some people get what they want and some people don't, how do I become one of the kind of people that gets what they want? Because that seems like that'd be the place to live, I reckon. If you got a choice in this matter, I'd much prefer to be the kind of guy who gets what he wants than the one who doesn't. So it's been an interesting discovery along the road, and I've done a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of listening, a lot of progress has been made toward that end. And sometimes I surprise myself because sometimes I still forget how far I've come. And sometimes I still compare myself to others. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, if I was like that person, gee, my life would be easier or it'd be so much better. I still have days where it sucks to be me. and then I stop and hang on a minute, Jamie, just have a look at yourself for a moment. Room full of mirrors, good hard look at yourself. Just have a look at what is your experience, your lived experience. You have the wife that you want, living in the house that you want, on the land that you want, driving the cars that you want. You've traveled to the places in the world that you want. You run the business that you want, doing the work that you want, making the difference that you want. You are one of the people who get what they want. So do not ever imagine for a moment that the things you have not yet seen, the future dreams, don't imagine you couldn't have them as well. It's part of the reason why I've got the word power tattooed on my left leg. I'm right side dominant, so the left leg is the one that wants to kind of shrink back. So on that leg is the word power, to say, hey, you are a powerful human being. Don't ever imagine you couldn't have what you want. Do not imagine that you don't have all the resources, all the know-how, all the capacity to create a desired reality for your life. So I wanted to share the things I've learned about how this happens and the stuff that's made a big difference in my world. But I think there's three things about becoming the kind of person who gets what you want. If that's interesting to you, I reckon you'll find this useful. So the first is probably not surprising. That is to be clear about what you want. You might be surprised by how many people are not clear about what they want, but every day I'm asking people, what do you want? What's the dream? And most people have not a very clear idea at all. It's very vague, if at all, if they have any idea. But to desire is human. I say that all the time. So it's always inside each of us, this sense of desire, this sense of ambition, this sense of things could be better. I do have stuff that I'd like to achieve. So to be clear about what you want, it's a big adult step to kind of draw that out of your internal and make it external, to say out loud and on purpose what it is that you want and to be clear about that. But if you're not clear about what you want, well, don't expect that somehow someone's going to interpret that for you and draw that out for you and do the hard work for you and see that achieved in your life for you. Like that, clearly that's not how the world works. Be clear about what you want and then be clear about what you're prepared to do about it. Like it is off the back of your own responsibility. You've got to understand that, surely. No one's coming to save you. This is your life. You're the expert in your life. So be clear about what you want. Be clear about where you'd like to take this thing. I do this exercise 2 or 3 times a week, if not more. Jamin, what do you want? What's the dream? Where are you taking this thing? What would excite you? I journal, I write, I scribble, I draw. I come up with all kinds of crazy stuff as a way of playing with that exercise and giving myself the freedom to swing away and have fun. The second thing is, like, everything comes with a price. So you got to know the intention behind what you want and the consequences of getting what you want. So that's really important. Firstly, like what you want, it's never about the thing. It's always about what the thing represents. So being clear to kind of chunk up to the highest intention behind your desired dreams, goals, outcomes. It's really important, because otherwise you think it's about the vehicle, and then you get attached to the vehicle. And if the vehicle ever lets you down, then you suffer. But it was never about the vehicle, the thing. Just what the thing represented. So if you're clear about what the thing represents, you might find there are 5 vehicles to get you what you want, and they all might be better than the one you first thought was what you wanted. And if one of them stops working, well, you can jettison it and move to another one to keep getting what you want. So often people get tied to one form of living, one mode of existence, one experience of life, because it's what they wanted. But the thing is, it wasn't actually what they wanted. It's what that represented, which is what they want. So that's a really important thing. Get clear about what you really want, the highest level of what you really want. Then you're free to keep reinventing and adapting and finding better vehicles to keep getting you there. Secondly, the consequences of it. So everything comes with a price. You might be surprised at the price of getting what you want. I love thinking about this in terms of winning lotto. It's why I never buy a lotto ticket. I'm not prepared to pay the price of winning lotto. That would be a disaster. It costs me more than I'm ever willing to pay. My plan for increasing money comes through work, comes through solving problems, comes through adding value. I don't want money for free, because it's not free. It's very expensive. I've considered that cost a long time ago. So you can have whatever you want, as long as you are fully willing and able to pay all the associated costs involved. So be careful what you wish for, because you might actually get it. First time I heard myself say that I wanted to lead a conversation globally about solving the insecurity problem. And got over the idea that was a crazy thing to hear myself say, and kind of went, yeah, that sounds really fun. The next thing was to go, well, it won't be fun. That'll cost you that'll cost you a lot. You want to be that guy. You want to be the guy. You want to be the insecurity guy, lead a global movement, have that as your business. Well, that'll be hard. That will be very, very hard. So you sure you want it? You sure that you understand what that represents to you, what that's about? Okay, well, if you're willing to pay the price, you can have it. And that's been my experience. So firstly, be very clear about what you want and what you're prepared to do about it. Secondly, know the intention behind what you want and the consequences of getting what you want. And finally, you've got to have access to your goals. So this is a thing that I think trips people up, because it's a little more abstract. I'm not big on the manifesting dreams deal. I think it's a bit too woo-woo. I love some good woo-woo as much as the next guy, but the language of manifesting dreams just doesn't hit the ground for me. But along those lines, you do have to have access to the things that you want. And lots of people don't have access to them. They want them, and there's this invisible force field that locks them out of what they want. So they try really hard. They're clear about what they want. They know the intention, the consequences. They're taking lots of action, but they're never going to get it. They are locked out. So access to dreams is the third thing, and probably the most important. So breaking down access into 3 things. So first is be, do, have. So, the worker, do, have, be. The more I do, the more I'll have, the happier I'll be. The victim, I want to have enough time, have enough energy, have enough skills, have enough support. Then I'll do the things, and then I'll be happy and successful. They wait their whole life. The winner knows what the end game is, doesn't dive into working, and is certainly not waiting. They be. So they be the person they want to be from the start, before they have any right to, before anyone else is saying it about them, before those results are real. They kind of realize that everything's created twice, and they've got to go create these results in the unseen world, which is Stephen Covey's great contribution. They see it, they feel it, it's true for them, and they embody it. So they jump into the being space first, which is a bit abstract, but not really. I think if you've read my book already, you would have heard me talk about the idea that to write the book, it wasn't just about doing the work or waiting for conditions. It was about going and being the author. Go be the artist. Go be that guy from the start. And then being that guy, do what that guy would do. And then doing what that guy would do, you'll have what he would have. So be, do, have, that's a really key part of getting access. State is king. First book, talk a lot about that. The idea that state determines outcomes. So if you're in a poor state, you don't have access to the creativity, resourcefulness, innovation, intelligence, memory, all the good stuff that you need to get what you want. So we see this in sport all the time. Top 100 golfers, probably equally talented, but the guys that win are the guys who are killer at managing their state. They can stay in the zone when it matters most. Other guys are in the zone for a moment and then out of the zone. So if you can control your state, if you understand how state management works, then you give yourself access to your best where it matters most. And finally, permission. So if you don't have permission to get your goals, if you don't have permission for that reality to enter your world, well, then you'll be locked out of it. So if you've got unconscious belief that says money's going to corrupt you, well, then you won't have permission to get more of it. If you have beliefs that say a good person never big notes themselves or never rises above their social group, well, then you won't have permission to do things that your friends aren't willing to do, or that it's different or unpopular. You just won't. If you don't have permission because of the rules of the operating system you're running about your life, about what a good person would do, about what a responsible husband or father or friend or family member or wife or whoever you are, the rules for how that person's supposed to live their life, if you don't observe those rules and adapt those rules, you won't have permission to step into the life that you dream of, because it's different from your current experience. That is a central thing. I think most people have got no idea about that, and they're still using self-discipline to force their way through. So you can try as hard as you like with self-discipline. It's not going to get you the job. The people who get what they want, they have not used self-discipline as their primary motivator, and I don't care what you tell me. It's self-permission. So I'm excited about this topic. I think it's such a great one to talk through. I hope that stirred up some ideas and thoughts and dreams in you. And here's to being the kind of person who gets what you want.